Fear. What does fear mean to you? Do you associate fear with a specific thing? For instance, arachnophobia, a fear of spiders, aerophobia, a fear of flying, dentophobia, a fear of the dentist? Or would you treat fear as its literal definition, an unpleasant emotion caused by the threat of danger, pain, or harm? Well, today, I want to bring a new discussion to the table: how Iron Lung nearly perfects fear. You see, Iron Lung is a unique case, as unlike other horror games where it's you, the player, being chased by a slasher or trying to escape a facility or compound, you're stuck inside an iron lung, at the bottom of a blood ocean, on an unknown moon, and tasked with researching and photographing specific areas in said ocean to learn its mysterious secrets while also being stalked by a dangerous predator. Just from that sentence alone, we can already establish what fears this game is using against us to create the most unsettling experience possible. Thalassophobia, a fear of the ocean; claustrophobia, a fear of small or confined spaces; and scopophobia, a fear of being watched or stared at. And this game nails all of these fears near perfect. Thalassophobia is being portrayed by the vast open blood ocean we're placed into on our expedition as we are lowered more and more to the point where the front window has to be locked shut to prevent it from breaking under the intense pressure of the bottom of the ocean. Claustrophobia is being used by the game, placing us in an iron lung and having us spend the rest of the game in said vehicle as we maneuver our way towards our target in this narrow and utterly dark trench. And scopophobia is us being fully aware that we aren't alone in this trench, that there's something out there watching our every move, studying us till it feels it's right to make a move and attack. But until our inevitable demise arrives, there's a job that needs to be done, and we're the ones tasked with it. Decades ago, every known star-inhabitable planet vanished, leaving only those who were on space stations or starships. This event became known as the Quiet Rapture. With supplies dwindling and infrastructures crumbling, survivors are searching for any trace of natural resources in the universe of barren moons, lit by the ghost light of vanished stars. One such moon holds a strange anomaly, the Ocean of Blood. You are a convict, tasked with exploring this anomaly in a makeshift submarine nicknamed the Iron Lung. It was not designed for this depth, so you will be welded inside it and the forward window will be closed. There is no time for training. If successful, you earn your freedom.
Beginning your descent. Cruising depth in roughly 40 seconds. Stand by. I'm seeing some voltage irregularities in the instruments, so keep an eye out for sparks or flames or anything like that. Approaching maximum depth. The hull's feeling it, but it's still holding strong. Closing porthole shielding. We're starting to lose radio signal. You'll be at cruise depth soon, so refreshing and be careful. You're on your own. Good.
This initial descent down is, by itself alone, unsettling. Knowing that this machine isn't built for this depth, that it could cave in at any moment due to the pressure, but obviously it won't because of plot armor, makes for a great introduction to this game. You have very little wiggle room inside the Iron Lung, having what I would estimate is about 2 meters squared. As mentioned before, the claustrophobia here is very well executed, and it leaves us with a sense of dread that this might very well be our watery grave in only a matter of time. By taking a quick look around, we notice a couple of objects that we can interact with: a fire hydrant, a terminal for taking photos, and a note left by the last prisoner who was sent to go explore in this very iron lung. This is not an expedition. This is an execution. When they put you in here, they don't want you to return. And even if you do, and even if they keep their promises, what freedom waits for you? A few dying ships in a sea of dead stars? If there is still hope, it lies beyond the veil. Hope in this void is as illusionary as the starlight. I will choose to breathe my last here, at the bottom of an ocean, unseen, unheard, and uncontrolled. They will get their execution. I will get my freedom. The note essentially tells us that, even though we were promised freedom after this expedition, it's barely achievable anyway. With the very low success rate of this mission, and possibly being tasked with coming back down afterwards if we were to live through this. The person writing also explains how they would much rather spend their final hours at the bottom of this ocean, unseen, unheard, and uncontrolled, possibly letting us know that if we were to achieve our freedom, we would still be under control by some higher power, possibly by the people who sent us down here to begin with. There's also a map that you can access, and it lets us know where we are supposed to be sailing towards. 10 locations, some more dangerous than the others before it, all marked with coordinates as to where they can be found. Our only way to find these locations, without the front window being open, is by navigating the ship using the controls at the front that display your current coordinates and which directions you are to travel in. I personally thought I would struggle to get my head behind how this all actually works, but it turns out it's a lot easier than I expected, and I was pleasantly surprised. It doesn't matter what order you head to the coordinates in, just as long as you can get the photos, the game is happy. Upon taking the first photo, we're greeted with rocks. Very spooky. It could just be a cluster of rocks, or it could be the remains of some large fish, and let's say it is some remains. They look fairly big for just a regular fish. So going off that logic, there's something bigger lurking in these waters that attacked this already large being. As we begin to move off and head towards the next marker, we're greeted with this. I'm not even exaggerating when I say this. This was the reason I wanted to make this video. You see, this game has a jump scare, but it doesn't rely on it being the spooks of the game. The ambience is where the real fear lies for me. Throughout the game, you can consistently hear your ship groaning and breaking down, and the sound design sells the fear of dread that the Iron One could break at any moment. However, the sounds of this unknown creature is what does it for me. We haven't seen or heard of it up till this point, let alone hearing of it in general. No one knew this thing was going to be down here, and we're the ones faced with surviving this thing to gain our freedom. Moving on to the second location, we're greeted with some more of these remains. And this to me looks more like a ribcage this time. Going back on my previous point, as of right now, we are in grave danger. We are becoming more aware that there are incredibly large carcasses of beings at the bottom of this trench, and there's an even bigger threat lurking, watching us, presumably the thing that hunted these other beings. We press on anyway, and head towards the third location. We take the photo and we're greeted with this. My best guess is that it's some sort of creature, judging by the ambience we can hear while taking the photo. It's making almost like a burrowing noise, like it's traveling through the ground and coming up every so often for something. Obviously, we're not given any information on what this thing actually is, so we just have to make our best judgment and call it at that. Moving on to the fourth location, we can see that the ship is decaying, and it's decaying fast. Pipes are beginning to burst, and we begin to realize our time is limited. It was around this time I began to realize that there was an oxygen level, which began to solidify the fact that we are on a clock. and if we're not fast enough, we will meet our end before our end goal. Taking the fourth picture is where things go from bad to worse. We actually get a glimpse of the thing that's been following us. This abomination of a thing. We also get to see more of these bones, and if we were to compare these bones to the thing, we can safely say it's quite a large fish. Taking a second photo and we're greeted with this. The thing is gone. We must have scared it away with the flash of the camera, but now, this just means that it's lurking, watching us, studying our every move, and waiting for the perfect opportunity to make us its lunch. The fifth photo begins to get interesting. We take a snap, and this is what we see. At first, much like everyone else, I thought this was a whale. However, the developer of the game actually added an achievement that confirms my suspicions on what this was false. This is not a whale, and is actually something else. Now we know that the moon's ocean is holding some big monsters within it, the size of whales back on Earth, maybe even larger. We press on to the sixth location, and through some controlled maneuvering into the area, we manage to get a picture, and we're greeted by this. Some sort of obelisk or structure. This then begs the question, why would there be ruins of buildings or structures so deep in a blood ocean on a moon where we probably will never know the location of? My best guess is that perhaps some civilization did in fact exist, but was predominantly underwater based. Or perhaps they existed above ground, and over time the blood ocean engulfed these structures, resulting in them being where they are today. Still, we don't have time to stop and think, so we keep moving forward. As we keep moving on, this happens. We are hit by something, and it ends up redirecting us to somewhere quite a bit away. Taking photos straight after, I thought I might be able to snap a quick picture of the beast that's been tailing us, but alas, nothing. We move on and decide to press forward. Taking the seventh photo, we see this. Some sort of spine of an even larger beast than the last. If I am to reiterate my point once more, this solidifies the fact that there is 100% big monsters down here with us, some even larger than ones that we would find on Earth. We keep moving to the next location, as we're down to the last 3 images. The 8th picture is a bit more tricky than the last one, but managing to get to it lets us know that something big is waiting for us to see. Actually getting a picture of it, we see this. I can only fathom that this is some sort of portal, once again, next to some sort of obelisk or structure. It warps our screen as we get closer to it, but being the soy man I am, I decided to not try test my theory to see if it was a portal, and promptly retreated out of the tight space. As I approached the exit, ready to leave the area, this happened. Something, presumably the beast, hit me out of the ravine that I was in, and to the exit. On the 9th location, we see this. Once again, if I were to take my best guess, it looks like some giant spider or crab. Just seeing this big creature made me want to point out that giant underwater beings in the depths of the ocean do in fact exist. It's a phenomenon called deep sea gigantism, which essentially happens when living beings have to adapt to their surroundings at such a depth. They would develop differently to those creatures at, say, surface level. Basically, the tangent summed up. That's a big boy right there, and I'm okay with him staying there and not coming near me, thank you very much. We continue forward, and as we do so, it seems like we're about to hit something, so going to take a photo of what's causing the sensors to go crazy reveals this. Once again, we're launched several hundred meters away from the last photo by some creature. However, I'd like to point out that this creature doesn't look like the one that's been following us throughout the entire playthrough. However, this could just be because the being is now up close, opposed to when we saw him the last time, which was pretty far away. We get to see him in his full fishy glory. We press on to the 10th photo, the final location, to snap the last photo and be done with this godforsaken venture. Progressing through the waters, having the iron lung nearly break, filling up with blood from the outside ocean as we near our end goal. We've been through literal hell trying to get these photos, but now we're at the end. We earn our freedom from this watery grave and be free of this nightmare. The expedition ultimately raised more questions than answers. Satellite images showed pieces of the SM-13 scattered all over the bottom of the trench, as though it had been torn apart by some huge beast. The wreckage cannot be reached at this time. No photographs have been recovered. The stars shine pale as bones. The moon is a lifeless corpse, its oceans a gaping wound. The universe, what's left of it, is dying. But somewhere in the void, there must be hope. And that's it. That is the infamous Iron Lung the gaming community went wild over about a month ago. Yes, I know I'm a month late. And I can see why. It truly was a blast to play this game and then turn it into a video. I'm not typically one for horror games, as I'm typically a complete coward. So there's that. But I do love horror media, like films and TV, so dissecting this game like it was some sort of TV show or movie was a really enjoyable experience for me, and shows that games don't need to rely on the funny JPEG jump scare to be considered scary. All they need is a good setting and atmosphere, and that alone can make a fantastic horror experience by itself. Next time, I'll be reviewing the entirety of Family Guy Season 16 on Blu-ray and dissecting each individual cutaway gag for funny ambience noises. Also, if you want to keep up with me, go to my socials, my TikTok, my Twitch, and my Twitter will all be linked down in the description. Thank you very much. Bye!